Hello the internet, and please excuse my squeaky chair. This video is a bit of a departure for me because I'm going to review something. A microphone, to be precise, and to be even more precise, this microphone, the SubZero SZM S100 from Gear4Music. So I found myself in a situation a few weeks back in which having a second shotgun microphone was going to be pretty much essential. I was shooting a documentary piece with a small crew, but the soundy didn't have any gear. He was going to have to use mine. And that's fine, except that I normally keep my Rode NTG2 shotgun microphone on top of my camera. And there's three reasons for that. First, so that I can quickly change over to shooting B-roll with nice ambient sound. And two, so that I have good scratch sound that can easily be synced with what a sound recordist is getting, although I normally have a mix from the recorder squirted back to the second channel on my camera anyway through a Rode link. And three, so that in a pinch we don't actually need the soundy at all, we just can get anyone who's speaking to stand really close to the camera, although this does produce rather unflattering wide angle faces, but you know, hey ho. So, if my shotgun needed to be on the end of the soundy's boom pole, what was I going to use on my camera? Well, there were other solutions. I've got a little Rode VideoMic Pro, for example, but it seemed like a great excuse to buy some new kit. But as this situation doesn't arise very often, and I do live in Yorkshire, I didn't want to dive in and spend loads of money. So I looked for second-hand stuff, but I couldn't find any good value used shotguns on eBay. But I did find some remarkably cheap microphones on Gear4Music's website. And Gear4Music, conveniently for me, are just round the corner from Tesco's on the edge of York, my nearest town. So I figured I'd get one, and if it turned out to be rubbish, well, I could take it back. Or at least I wouldn't have spent much money. And here it is. It comes in this very modest plain white box, which is slightly alarmingly light. Inside, we get the microphone, rather optimistically padded only with this bubble wrap bag, a foam windshield, a rigid microphone clip, and a sheet of paper, most of which is words in foreign, but on the back page it tells us that the microphone has a hypercardioid pattern, well, yeah, a 150 Hz low pass filter, good, and is suitable for interviews even, and location recording. And then there's some other vaguely technical blurb. So, well, we're never likely to use the clip. Too much mechanical noise if you don't have any kind of suspension. The foam windshield, though, yes, to cut down on wind noise from when the microphone's being moved around on a boom pole. Oh. Yeah, see, that's a bit disappointing. Shotguns are very vulnerable to wind noise as air moves through all these little interference slots. And the windshield isn't actually quite long enough to cover them all. Oh well, I'm always like to use it with a furry softie like this one anyway. In fact, I bought a spare one of these while I was at Gear4Music, and it actually cost us nearly as much as the microphone did. So the microphone itself is very light. It looks very like an NTG2, and it's exactly the same diameter, so windshields and the like from other shotguns will fit on it. But the acid, thank you Bailey, but the acid test is, how does it sound? Well, it's kind of hard to demonstrate that while I've got it in my hand with nothing plugged in. So bear with, and I'll set up a side-by-side comparison. So I'm back, and I've set up the SubZero 40-pound shotgun next to my Rode NTG2, which is a roughly 150 to 200 pound microphone, on a boom stand, just up here, just out of frame, pretty much where you'd normally have a shotgun for a shot like this. I'll say some words, and then I'll switch back and forth between them in the edit, and you can see how they both sound. Is the 40-pound SubZero comparable in any way with the NTG2? So, some words. I thought I'd recite a poem, because that's lots of words. So, there was a young man from Australia who painted it... No, you see, if I do that, I can't have my video marked as suitable for kids on YouTube, so I'll have to pick something else. Matilda told such dreadful lies, it made one gasp and stretch one's eyes. Her aunt, who from her earliest youth had kept a strict regard for truth, attempted to believe Matilda. The effort very nearly killed her, and would have done so had not she discovered this infirmity. For once, towards the close of day, Matilda, growing tired of play and finding she was left alone, went tiptoe to the telephone and summoned the immediate aid of London's noble fire brigade. Within an hour the gallant band were pouring in on every hand. From Putney, Hackney Downs and Bow, with courage high and hearts aglow, they galloped roaring through the town. "Matilda's house! It's burning down!" Inspired by British cheers and a loud proceeding from the frenzied crowd, they ran their ladders through a score of windows on the ballroom floor and took particular pains to souse the pictures up and down the house, until Matilda's aunt succeeded in showing them they were not needed, and even then she had to pay to get the men to go away. It happened that a few weeks later her aunt was off to the theatre to see that interesting play, The Second Mrs. Tanqueray. She had refused to take her niece to see this entertaining piece, a deprivation just and wise to punish her for telling lies. That night a fire did break out. You should have heard Matilda shout. You should have heard her scream and bawl and throw the windows up and call to people passing in the street, the rapidly increasing heat encouraging her to gain their confidence, but all in vain, for every time she shouted, "Fire!" they only answered, "Bloody liar." And therefore, when her aunt returned, Matilda and the house were burned. I thank you. So there you have it. £40 SubZero shotgun, £200-ish NTG2 shotgun microphone. Which do you think is the best? I'm going to leave that judgment entirely to you. There he is. Now, would you like to look into that mirror over there? You see yourself in there? You see that? No? You're not feeling sociable today? No. How would you not be welcome in one of my videos? Well, listen, while you're here, I'd like to address a point that in so many YouTube videos, we see spotlessly tidy, scrupulously clean offices and workrooms. And I don't know, what kind of sick person actually makes any kind of creative content in a sterile environment like that? Thank you. Bailey agrees with me, even though he's shaking his head. No, this is the real world. Yeah, this is the real world.